let's do the final fence problem. Now this one is definitely the most challenging of the 3 fence problems, but what you're going to find is that we're going to actually be using the exact same method. So if you don't remember what we did before in the other 2 fence problems, I would highly recommend checking those out before watching this. Now in all of these problems, we always start off by assigning some variables. So I think that it makes sense to let t be the number of hours that it would take for Tom Sawyer to paint the fence alone. Let's call h the number of hours it would take for Huckleberry Finn to paint the fence alone. And of course, we can't forget about Injun Joe. So let's let I be the number of hours it would take for Injun Joe to paint the fence alone. So if Tom takes t hours to paint a fence alone, that means each hour Tom is painting 1 over t of a fence. Similarly, if Huckleberry Finn takes h hours to paint a fence alone, each hour he's painting 1 over h of a fence, and Injun Joe is painting 1 over I of a fence. So that 1 over t plus 1 over h is the amount that Tom and Huck paint together in an hour. Now in the problem, it says that Tom and Huck paint for 3 hours, but if Injun Joe hadn't helped them, it would have taken them 4 more hours to complete the fence. This means that Tom and Huck take 3 plus 4, which is 7 hours, to paint a fence on their own. So in 7 hours, Tom and Huck complete 1 entire fence. And if you're confused on how we did this so quickly, I would refer you to the pipes and pool video. But now we have to use some more information. So the other information we're given is that Tom and Huck paint a fence for 3 hours, but then later they will be joined by Injun Joe. So now all 3 of them, Tom, Huck, and Injun Joe, are painting together, and we're told that they finish 2 hours later. So when Tom, Huck, and Injun Joe paint together, they finish 2 hours later. Now since we're trying to find out how long it would take for Injun Joe to paint the fence alone, what we're really trying to find is I. So based on these 2 equations, we need to somehow find I. And the best place to start is from our first equation, because from here we know that 1 over t plus 1 over h equals 1 over 7. And now we'll take this, and wherever we see a 1 over t plus 1 over h in this second equation, we're going to replace it with 1 over 7. So 3 times 1 over t plus 1 over h becomes 3 times 1 over 7 plus 2 times 1 over t plus 1 over h plus 1 over I. That can be replaced with 1 over 7 plus 1 over I. And then we just move this 3 over 7 to the other side, divide both sides by 2, And we're left with 1 over 7 plus 1 over I equals 2 over 7. This means that 1 over I equals 1 over 7. And just by comparison, we get that I equals 7. Which means that it would take Injun Joe over here 7 hours to paint an entire fence alone. So I think that Injun Joe painting a fence for 7 hours makes for good comedy and is a good way for him to pay back his community.